The crimson sky stretched endlessly over the jagged mountains of Clyra 9, casting long shadows over the abandoned alien outpost. Human pilot Jaren crouched behind a pile of rusted metal, his breath forming small clouds in the cold air. He had not expected to find life here, not after the warnings of deadly storms, rogue predators, and the strange electromagnetic pulses that scrambled all signals. Yet there she was, a young alien woman, kneeling near the edge of a collapsing platform, her shimmering silver hair catching the red light, her large eyes filled with desperation. "Please, let me stay here," she whispered, her voice trembling but strangely melodic. Jaren's heart thumped in his chest, a mixture of fear and curiosity. He had heard rumors of the Clyran exiles, but never had he imagined meeting one face to face, especially one so vulnerable. The air around her seemed charged, faint sparks of blue energy dancing along her fingertips, as if her emotions themselves were alive. "Why should I help you?" Jaren asked, keeping his weapon ready, though he had no idea if it would even work against whatever she was. The alien woman's gaze did not waver, and she took a small step closer, raising her hands in a gesture of surrender. I will give you something no white woman ever could," she said. Her words strange, shocking, and impossible to ignore. Her meaning was unclear, but the intensity of her plea, the raw honesty in her eyes, made Jaren's pulse quicken around them. The outpost groaned and shuddered, the metal of broken towers clanging against each other as if the whole structure were alive and angry. A storm was approaching fast, its distant thunder rolling over the mountains like the roar of some ancient beast. Jaren knew he had little time, either to help her or leave. Yet every instinct screamed at him that there was more to this alien than her desperate words, more than just a helpless figure in need. She stepped closer, her silver hair brushing against his shoulder, and he noticed the faint markings on her skin, glowing faintly in patterns he could not understand. They marked me," she said softly, almost to herself. "Exiled from my people, hunted for what I am." Jaren's mind raced, images of danger flashing across his thoughts. If she was hunted, what would following her mean? Could he survive whatever was coming? "I have nothing left," she continued, her voice breaking. "No home, no family, no hope. Only this plea, only you." Her words struck something deep inside Jaren, a mixture of pity, fear, and an inexplicable connection he could not explain. He glanced around the crumbling platform, the jagged drop below, and the alien predators that prowled unseen in the red shadows. Yet the sound of her voice, so desperate, so full of unspoken promise, held him in place. He could not turn away, could not ignore the strange pull that drew him closer. The first bolts of the storm lit the sky, streaks of violent red lightning illuminating the alien woman's face. Her eyes shimmered, reflecting the crimson light, and for a moment, she seemed almost otherworldly. "You will not regret this," she said, reaching out toward him. "I can give you what no one else can. Power, knowledge, survival, things you cannot even imagine." Jaren hesitated, his hand hovering over his weapon, unsure if she was lying or if this was a trap. Yet the sincerity in her gaze made him pause, made him consider the possibilities of what she might offer. Suddenly a loud crash echoed from the distance, metal and debris tumbling down the mountainside. The storm was closer now, wind howling through the broken towers, whipping up dust and fragments of rusted metal. Jaren realized the danger was real, immediate and life-threatening. But so was the opportunity before him, the chance to witness something no human had ever seen. He took a slow breath, trying to steady his mind, weighing his survival against the strange, desperate plea of the alien woman. Her voice lowered to a whisper, almost intimate. "I know you fear me, but I can protect you, guide you, make you stronger than you ever dreamed. Let me stay here, please." Jaren felt a strange shiver run down his spine, a mixture of fear, excitement, and curiosity. He could hear the storm grow louder, could see the first drops of acidic rain sizzling against the metal below. And in that moment he knew he had to decide quickly. Could he trust her? Could he risk everything for a stranger from another world? As the wind tore at the outpost and the sky burned with red lightning, he felt something shift inside him, a strange resolve, a willingness to step into the unknown. "All right," he said, his voice low but firm. "Stay, for now." The alien woman's eyes widened with relief and something else, something intense and almost impossible to name. She reached out her hand and he took it, feeling a faint electric pulse travel through his body. The storm raged around them, but for a moment in that fragile connection, the world seemed to pause, and as the first drop of rain fell on Jaren's face, he realized that nothing would ever be the same again. Jaren led the alien woman, whose name he still did not know. Through the jagged ruins of the outpost, the wind howled around them, carrying dust and fragments of metal that cut at their skin. He kept one hand on his weapon, though he had already begun to feel a strange trust toward her. Her presence was unsettling and yet comforting. Like a storm wrapped in a fragile warmth, "I am Kira," she finally whispered, her silver hair whipping across her glowing face. "I owe you my life, human." Jaren nodded, his mind racing, trying to piece together what he had agreed to. He did not fully understand why he had said yes, only that something about her plea had felt impossible to ignore. They moved quickly, the storm chasing them across the broken platforms and jagged cliffs. Kira pointed out hidden paths that were invisible to Jaren, narrow ledges that avoided the collapsing towers. Her knowledge of the outpost seemed instinctive, as if she had once lived here, or had a connection no human could understand. He wondered what kind of alien she truly was and why her people had left her to die. "You cannot stay here alone," Jaren said, glancing at the darkening sky. "It is too dangerous. Even for you." Kira's eyes glimmered, a mixture of defiance and desperation. "I know," she said softly, "but with you I have a chance. A chance to survive, to find what I lost." Her words carried weight, and Jaren realized she was not just pleading for safety. She was offering something, a partnership, perhaps even more. Suddenly a loud screech echoed from the distance, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Jaren froze, recognizing the sound of alien predators that hunted in packs. Kira's hand shot out, gripping his arm, and he felt the faint pulse of her energy running through him. "You follow me," she commanded, her voice sharp. "And do exactly as I say." He nodded without hesitation, his instincts telling him that this strange alliance might be the only way to survive. They leapt across a series of broken catwalks, the storm making each step dangerous. Kira's knowledge guided them safely through areas where Jaren would have surely fallen. Her agility and reflexes were beyond human, and every movement seemed to hum with power. Yet she never boasted, never demanded respect, only relied on his presence to make her plan work. After several tense minutes, they reached a hidden chamber. Partially buried beneath the rubble inside, faint blue light glowed from unknown sources, illuminating strange alien symbols carved into the walls. "This is my refuge," Kira said, her voice barely audible over the storm. Jaren studied the symbols, feeling a strange sense of history and danger intertwined. "This place, it's ancient," he murmured. "How do you even know about it?" Kira hesitated, her eyes distant as if recalling a memory from long ago. "I remember fragments," she said finally. "Before they exiled me, I learned many things that can help you too." Jaren's mind spun at her words, the possibilities both exciting and terrifying. He realized she was not just asking for protection. She was offering knowledge, power, perhaps even secrets of survival that humans had never seen. Yet he could not ignore the danger, the feeling that at any moment, someone or something would attack. The outpost had been abandoned for centuries, but it was not empty, and Kira's enemies were closing in. As if to prove his fear, the chamber trembled again, and a low growl echoed from the shadows. Jaren raised his weapon. Aiming at the dark corners, Kira stepped forward, her hands glowing faintly, and whispered words in a language he did not understand. Suddenly the growl stopped and a shadowy predator hesitated. Confused and unwilling to advance, Jaren stared in disbelief, realizing that Kira's abilities were real, and that she had saved them both without any human weapon. "You have strange power," he said, his voice quiet, almost in awe. Kira smiled faintly, though her eyes held sadness. "Not strange. Necessary," she corrected him. "I survived because of this, and I can share it with you if you trust me." Jaren hesitated, weighing the risk, but the bond they had formed in the storm felt real, undeniable. He lowered his weapon slightly, signaling that he would try, that he would trust her. At least for now, for hours, they navigated the ruins together, Kira guiding him, teaching him, sharing knowledge he could barely comprehend. Each step revealed more of her story. A fallen civilization, betrayal by her own people, and a desperate search for something lost. Jaren realized that helping her was not just about survival. It was about discovering a world beyond his imagination. And yet danger loomed everywhere, the storm outside, the predators, and the alien hunters who would surely come looking. As night fell over Clyra 9, the red sky deepening into darkness, Jaren and Kira finally settled in a small hidden alcove, exhausted but alive. They shared a moment of quiet understanding. "I owe you my life," Kira said again, her voice soft, almost intimate. "You trust me, and I trust you," Jaren replied, though he could not fully explain why in that fragile alliance. Under the crimson sky and the distant howls of predators, a human and an alien woman had formed a bond, one that would either save them both or destroy them in the trials to come. And as the storm raged above, Jaren realized that nothing in his life had prepared him for this partnership. Yet for the first time, he felt a strange hope, a spark of curiosity, and a willingness to step into the unknown with Kira at his side. The hidden alcove was quiet, though the storm still raged outside. Jaren sat across from Kira, his eyes tracing the faint patterns of glowing markings on her skin. They pulsed gently, like a heartbeat of light, and he felt a strange warmth radiating from her. How do you do that?" he asked, his voice low, almost hesitant. Kira tilted her head, her silver hair falling over one shoulder, and smiled faintly. "It is not magic, human," she said softly. "It is knowledge. Knowledge from my people, knowledge that survived the fall of my world." Jaren leaned back, trying to process her words. He had always believed that humans were at the top of survival, at the peak of technology and understanding. But Kira's presence, her abilities, and the strange energy around her shattered everything he thought he knew. "I don't understand," he admitted. "Why help me? Why trust me?" Kira's eyes shimmered, reflecting the red light of the storm outside. "Because you listened," she said simply. "Because you did not judge, you did not run, and you saw me. Truly saw me, human." A sudden crack of lightning lit the sky, illuminating the ruins outside. The jagged towers of the outpost groaned under the storm's power, and Jaren realized how close danger always was. Yet in that moment he felt something shift, a strange sense of connection. Kira reached out her hand, her fingers brushing his, and he felt a pulse, faint but real, traveling through him. It was as if she was sharing a part of herself, a secret energy that humans could barely perceive. "You have survived because of your courage," Kira whispered. "But your life will change if you stay with me. If you trust me fully." Jaren looked into her eyes, searching for deception, for lies, but found only truth and longing. "I am not sure I understand what you mean," he said, though he felt a shiver run down his spine. Kira's gaze softened and she began to speak of her past. The lost civilization she came from. The empire of her people had been vast and powerful, yet it had fallen from betrayal, war, and greed. She had been exiled, cast out as an outcast because of her abilities, because she was different, because she saw the world as it should be, not as it was. Jaren listened in awe, trying to imagine the weight of such history. He realized that Kira carried not only her own life but the legacy of a fallen world, and that knowledge was dangerous in the wrong hands. "What do you want from me?" he finally asked, his voice steady, though his mind raced. Kira smiled faintly, a mixture of hope and sadness. "I want an ally," she said simply. "Someone who can see beyond fear, beyond survival. Someone who can help me restore what was lost, or at least protect it from being destroyed forever." The wind howled louder, rattling the metal above them, but they remained in the alcove, speaking quietly. Jaren realized that trusting her was not a simple choice. It was a risk that could cost his life. Yet he also felt that turning away would leave him empty, ignorant, and unfulfilled. Kira stood, moving gracefully to the edge of the alcove, her eyes scanning the dark horizon. "There are others," she said, "hunters, exiles, enemies. They will come for me, for you, for this knowledge. Human." Jaren's hand went to his weapon instinctively, but he hesitated, realizing that conventional weapons might not be enough. Kira turned to him, her gaze steady, unwavering. "Trust me," she said simply, "and I will show you the secrets of my world, secrets no human has ever seen." A low growl echoed from the shadows, and both of them froze. From the darkness emerged a creature sleek and deadly, its eyes glowing faintly in the stormlight. Jaren aimed his weapon, but Kira stepped forward, her hands glowing softly. She whispered words in her ancient language, and the creature stopped, confused, hesitant. Jaren's jaw dropped as he realized she could control, or at least influence, creatures far stronger than him. "This is why I asked you to trust me," Kira said calmly, her eyes never leaving the creature. She reached out her hand toward Jaren, and he felt a strange warmth. a connection that was more than physical. He realized that she was offering him not only protection but understanding, a chance to see the universe differently. As the storm intensified, Kira led him deeper into the ruins, showing hidden passages and secret chambers. She explained alien mechanisms, devices that could heal, protect, or reveal hidden knowledge. Jaren felt both awe and fear, realizing that Kira's offer was far more than survival. It was power, wisdom, and a chance to change everything he thought he knew about life and the universe. Yet he also knew that every step forward was a risk, and one misstep could be fatal. But as he looked at Kira, her silver hair glowing in the stormlight, her eyes shining with hope and desperation, he made a decision. He would follow her, trust her, and see the secrets she promised, even if it meant stepping into danger he could not imagine. For the first time, Jaren understood that the universe was larger, stranger, and more beautiful than he had ever dreamed, and that by trusting Kira, the alien woman who had begged him to stay, he was stepping into a story far greater than his own survival, a story of knowledge, power, and the fragile, dangerous bond between human and alien. The storm raged on, lightning splitting the sky, but inside the alcove, a human and an alien woman prepared to face the secrets of a fallen world together. The storm had passed, leaving a thick mist that clung to the ruins like a ghostly veil. Jaren and Kira moved cautiously through the broken corridors of the alien outpost, each step echoing against rusted metal and shattered stone. Despite the temporary calm, Jaren could feel tension coiling around them, a warning that danger was never far. Kira's eyes darted to every shadow, every flicker of movement, as if she sensed threats invisible to humans. "We are not safe yet," she whispered, her voice low, almost fearful. Jaren nodded, gripping his weapon, though he had begun to rely on her guidance more than his own instincts. "The hunters?" he asked, glancing toward the distant cliffs shrouded in mist. Kira shook her head, her gaze hardening. "Worse," she said. "Those who betrayed me, who sent me into exile. They are coming, and they will not stop until I am gone. And you with me?" A sudden rumble beneath their feet made Jaren stumble, and he caught himself on a crumbling wall. The ground shifted, loose stones clattering into the dark voids below. "Careful!" Kira hissed, pulling him toward a narrow passageway hidden behind a fallen arch. The walls were lined with alien symbols that pulsed faintly in the dim light. Jaren ran his fingers over them, feeling an energy he could not explain. "Your people, you carry so much knowledge," he said quietly. "I don't know if humans can even understand it." Kira's gaze softened, but there was a shadow of pain in her eyes. "Understanding is dangerous," she said. "Knowledge can save or destroy. That is why they wanted me gone." As they moved deeper, the sound of mechanical footsteps echoed in the distance. Jaren froze, heart pounding. "Hunters," Kira said softly. "But not the ones you fear. Others, those I once trusted who promised safety, betrayed me instead." Jaren's mind raced, trying to imagine what kind of enemies could be so ruthless. The storm, the predators, the outpost itself, all seemed simple compared to the danger of betrayal. He glanced at Kira, seeing determination and fear intertwined in her expression. She was vulnerable, yes, but also powerful, and her trust in him made him realize the weight of responsibility he carried. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the corridor ahead. Fast and silent, Jaren raised his weapon instinctively, but Kira stopped him with a hand, glowing faintly. "Wait," she whispered, her voice tense. "We can handle this without a fight, if we are careful." The shadow revealed itself, a group of alien enforcers, clad in dark armor, their faces obscured. Jaren felt a chill run through him, knowing that these were the ones who had sent Kira into exile. "They know I am here," Kira said quietly, "and they know you are with me." Without warning, the enforcers split, moving to surround them. Jaren glanced at Kira, panic rising. She stepped forward calmly, her hands glowing brighter, and murmured words in her ancient tongue. The symbols on the walls seemed to respond. Pulsing in rhythm with her voice, a soft hum filled the corridor. Vibrating through Jaren's bones, the enforcers hesitated, confused by the energy, unsure of how to proceed. "This way," Kira said, grabbing Jaren's arm. Leading him through a narrow side passage, they ducked and ran, the enforcers' shouts echoing behind them. Jaren realized that Kira's knowledge was not just survival skills, it was control over the very environment around them. Yet even as they escaped immediate danger, the weight of betrayal pressed on him. Someone, somewhere, wanted Kira gone. And by extension, him too. They emerged into a small chamber, partially protected by collapsed walls. Jaren leaned against the stone, trying to catch his breath. Kira knelt, placing her hands on the ground, murmuring softly. Energy glowed beneath her palms. Weaving a protective shield around the alcove, Jaren watched, amazed and slightly fearful. "Your people, this power," he said. "It's incredible, but terrifying too." Kira's gaze met his, steady and unwavering. "Power is only dangerous when used carelessly," she said. "But it is necessary to survive, to protect, and to fight back against betrayal." Hours passed, the mist outside thickening into a suffocating fog. Jaren felt a bond forming, one built on trust and mutual survival. Kira shared more of her story, speaking of allies lost, promises broken, and the loneliness of exile. Jaren listened, realizing that her plea in the storm had been more than desperation. It had been an invitation to join her in something far greater. He understood that protecting her was not just about compassion. It was about honor, courage, and embracing the unknown. A sudden noise interrupted the moment. A faint metallic scraping. Jaren and Kira froze. Eyes scanning the shadows, a single enforcer stepped forward, clearly lost from the group. Before Jaren could react, Kira raised her hands, energy pulsing around her. The enforcer froze, unable to move, as if caught in an invisible web. Jaren realized that her power was precise, controlled, and focused. She could neutralize threats without unnecessary violence. The enforcer, terrified, turned and fled. Disappearing into the fog, Kira exhaled, her face pale but resolute. "They are coming," she said, "and next time, they may not be so easy to stop." Jaren nodded, understanding the truth in her words. He felt fear, yes, but also a strange exhilaration. They were not alone, but together, facing betrayal, danger, and the unknown. And in that partnership, fragile but growing, he saw a glimmer of hope, a hope that they could survive, and perhaps even turn the tables on those who sought to destroy them. As the mist thickened and the outpost groaned beneath the weight of time and storm, Jaren realized that trust and courage were their only weapons against betrayal. And with Kira at his side, he was ready to face whatever came next. For better or worse, their fates were now intertwined, and the trials of the outpost had only just begun. The mist hung thick over the outpost, curling around broken towers and jagged walls. Jaren stood beside Kira, feeling the weight of the storm and the weight of the choices ahead. He had followed her through danger, faced predators and betrayal, and witnessed abilities no human had ever seen. Yet now, as the remnants of the mist swirled around them, he realized that trust alone would not keep them alive. He had to make a choice, one that would shape both of their fates. Kira watched him silently, her silver hair brushing her glowing shoulders, her eyes reflecting a mixture of hope and fear. "You hesitate," she said softly. "I can feel it, human. Your heart and mind at war." Jaren looked down at his hands, shaking slightly. He had been a soldier, a survivor, someone trained to face danger, yet nothing in his life had prepared him for this. The alien woman beside him carried knowledge, power, and promises that humans could never imagine, and yet trusting her fully meant risking everything he knew, everything he had survived. "I don't know if I can trust you," he admitted, his voice low, almost a whisper. Kira stepped closer, placing a hand lightly on his arm. "Trust is not given lightly," she said. "But you have already taken the first step by following me this far." Her touch was warm, electric and strange, sending a shiver down his spine. "I can offer you survival, knowledge, even power beyond your imagination," she continued, her eyes searching his. "But only if you choose to stay, to believe in what I am offering." Jaren swallowed hard, his mind flashing back to the dangers they had faced, the enforcers, the collapsing towers, the storm. He realized that the world he had known, the life he had lived, was no longer enough. He was on a planet far from home, standing beside an alien woman who carried secrets of a fallen civilization. And yet, the risk of following her was outweighed by the promise of discovery, connection, and survival. He took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the outpost beneath their feet, the hum of energy from Kira's presence. I will stay," he said finally, his voice firm, though his heart raced. "I trust you, for now." Kira's eyes lit up, a mixture of relief and joy washing over her features. "You do not know what you have chosen," she said softly, "but I promise you will not regret it." She took his hand, guiding him toward a hidden stairway that descended deeper into the ruins. The air grew warmer, filled with a faint hum of energy, and Jaren realized that he was entering a part of the outpost no human had ever seen. Kira moved with grace and certainty, as if she had walked these paths countless times, and with every step Jaren felt the bond between them strengthen, a fragile but growing trust that would define their future. As they descended, Kira began to explain more of her world, her people, and the knowledge she carried. Long ago, my civilization mastered energy, communication, and survival in ways humans cannot imagine, she said. I carry pieces of that knowledge hidden and protected, waiting for someone worthy to share it with. Jaren listened, fascinated and overwhelmed. He realized that her offer was not just about survival, it was about transformation, a chance to become part of something greater than himself. And yet the risk was undeniable, the shadow of betrayal and danger always present. Suddenly the ground trembled and the faint hum of energy grew louder. Jaren glanced at Kira, sensing tension in her posture. They are coming, she said, her voice calm but urgent. Those who betrayed me, they know you are with me now and they will try to take you from me. Jaren felt a surge of adrenaline, his survival instincts kicking in, but instead of fear he felt determination. A resolve to protect the woman who had trusted him, and the knowledge she offered. He understood that the choice he had made was not just about trust, it was about courage, commitment, and the willingness to face the unknown. They reached a large chamber, illuminated by faint blue energy flowing through alien conduits. Kira gestured toward strange devices, glowing crystals, and intricate symbols carved into the walls. These are tools, memories, and weapons of my people, she explained. With them we can survive, fight, and protect what remains. Jaren studied the devices, realizing that the power she offered was immense, but required responsibility, focus, and understanding. He glanced at her, and in that moment, he felt a connection deeper than words, a bond of mutual reliance and trust. I am ready, he said quietly. Teach me. Help me understand. Kira smiled, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. You are brave human, braver than most, she said. And that is why you survived this far, why you made the choice to stay, to trust, and to fight with me. As they began to explore the chamber together, testing the devices and unlocking hidden knowledge, Jaren realized that he had crossed a threshold. The choice to stay with Kira was more than trust. It was a commitment to a new way of life, one filled with danger, discovery, and unexpected connections. He understood that he would face challenges beyond imagination, enemies beyond reckoning, and sacrifices that might test his very being. Yet for the first time he felt hope, excitement, and the strange thrill of stepping into a world that was larger, stranger, and more incredible than he had ever dreamed. And as the alien woman beside him guided his hands and whispered instructions, Jaren knew that the human choice he had made would define not only his fate, but the fate of Kira, the outpost, and perhaps even the secrets of a fallen civilization. The path ahead was uncertain, dangerous, and thrilling, and together they would face it, bound by trust, courage, and a promise that neither would forget. The hidden chamber hummed with alien energy. Casting pale blue light over the jagged walls, Jaren and Kira moved carefully, testing devices and exploring the strange technology left by her people. The knowledge was overwhelming, yet every step revealed more of the power she carried. Jaren could feel the pulse of energy beneath his fingers, a living connection that made the air feel electric. Suddenly, a distant crash echoed through the ruins, the sound of metal tearing and stone shattering. Jaren's heart leapt, and he grabbed Kira's hand, pulling her close. They're here, he whispered, voice tight with urgency. The hunters, or their allies? Kira's eyes narrowed, her silver hair glowing faintly as she prepared for what was coming. They will not stop, she said softly, but we can face them. Together, the first figures appeared at the edge of the chamber, dark silhouettes against the pale light, moving with deadly precision. Jaren raised his weapon, but Kira held up a hand, a faint glow radiating from her palms. Wait, she said. Let me show you. The air shimmered around her, bending like water as energy flowed from her, forming a protective barrier between them and the intruders. Jaren felt the pulse of power against his chest, a vibration that made his teeth tingle. He realized that her abilities were not just defense, they were connection, control, and understanding beyond human comprehension. The hunters advanced cautiously, their eyes reflecting fear and confusion. Kira's voice rose, chanting words in her ancient language, and the symbols carved into the walls began to glow. The chamber seemed to respond, energy swirling like a living thing. One of the hunters reached for a weapon, but a wave of force knocked him back, crashing into the rubble. Jaren's breath caught, awe and terror mixing in his chest. He had never seen power like this, and he realized the cost of what they were facing. Suddenly, one hunter broke through a weak spot in the barrier. Rushing toward Jaren without thinking, Kira threw herself between him and the intruder, her body glowing with fierce light. The hunter froze, paralyzed by the force of her presence. Jaren rushed forward, fighting off the others, but he felt helpless as Kira struggled to hold the intruder at bay. Her energy flared brighter than before, and the chamber shook as if the ruins themselves were reacting. "You cannot hold it forever," Jaren shouted, panic rising. "Step back, Kira." She shook her head, eyes blazing. "I will protect you," she said, her voice steady, though her body strained under the effort. "You trusted me. Now I will give everything I have to keep you alive." Jaren felt a lump in his throat. Realizing the truth of her words, she was willing to risk herself completely, to sacrifice her safety for his. And in that moment, he understood the depth of her trust and devotion. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the chamber, and Jaren saw her fully, her silver hair radiant, her eyes fierce and determined. The hunter struggled, energy crackling around him, but Kira's will held. Jaren felt a strange connection to her, as if her sacrifice was not just physical but emotional, binding them together in ways he could not explain. He knew he had to act to help her survive, but the barrier of power between them made it nearly impossible. Summoning every ounce of courage, Jaren grabbed a piece of alien technology from the chamber, a glowing crystal. He aimed it at the intruder, and a beam of energy shot out, striking the hunter and freezing him in place. Kira's glow dimmed slightly and she gasped, exhaustion washing over her. Jaren rushed to her side, taking her hands in his, feeling the faint pulse of energy beneath her skin. "You saved me," he said, voice trembling. I can't let you do this alone." She shook her head, a small smile breaking through her fatigue. "You already saved me," she whispered. "By staying, by trusting me, by being here." The remaining hunters paused, unsure how to proceed. Kira's energy flared again, forming a protective dome over both of them. Jaren realized the magnitude of what she had done, risking everything, showing him the ultimate sacrifice, and in that moment, he understood that their bond was more than survival. It was trust, courage, and the shared willingness to face death together. Hours seemed to pass, though Jaren could not tell. The storm outside fading into distant rumbles. Kira slumped against the wall, exhausted but alive, her glow dimming to a soft shimmer. Jaren supported her, feeling the weight of gratitude, fear and awe. "You did it," he said softly. "You saved me." She smiled faintly, her eyes closing briefly. "We saved each other," she whispered, "and that is why we survive." As the chamber settled into quiet, Jaren realized that the choice he had made, to stay, to trust, to fight with Kira, had led them through danger and despair. He felt a sense of purpose, a bond that was unbreakable, forged in sacrifice and courage. And though the world outside was still dangerous, the outpost still crumbling, he knew that together they could face whatever came next. For the first time, he truly understood the meaning of humanity, courage, and the extraordinary power of trust between two very different beings. And as Kira rested, her hands still glowing faintly in the dim light, Jaren vowed silently that he would not waste her sacrifice. He would stand with her, learn from her, and fight by her side. For they had faced death together, and the ultimate sacrifice had shown them both the strength of their bond. And the trials of the outpost, the storm, and the hunters were only the beginning of a journey that would change everything. The storm had finally faded, leaving the outpost bathed in a pale, alien light. Jaren stood beside Kira, feeling the calm after days of danger, chaos, and uncertainty. The ruins around them were scarred and broken, yet there was a strange beauty in the way light fell on the jagged metal and stone. For the first time, he allowed himself to breathe fully. To feel hope instead of fear, Kira sat quietly, her silver hair shimmering in the soft light, her eyes reflecting relief and something deeper, something almost like joy. "You survived," she said softly. Turning to him, "We survived. Together." Jaren nodded, still awed by the power, trust, and courage they had shared. He realized that their bond was stronger than any fear or danger they had faced. and that it had been forged in the fire of survival and sacrifice. "You saved me," he said, his voice quiet but firm, "not just once, but every time the hunters, the storm, or this place tried to take you from me." Kira shook her head, a small smile curling her lips. "We saved each other," she said simply, "and that is why we are here, why we can start anew." Together they explored the ruins, discovering hidden chambers, alien devices, and knowledge left behind by Kira's people. Every artifact, every symbol, every crystal told a story of a civilization long lost yet alive through her. Jaren realized that what she had offered him was not just survival, but understanding, insight, and a connection to a world humans could scarcely imagine. He could feel the weight of responsibility settle over him. But it was not oppressive, it was inspiring, driving him to learn, protect, and grow. Kira led him to a large chamber at the heart of the outpost, filled with soft, glowing energy. "This was my sanctuary," she explained, her voice reverent. "Here I kept what mattered most, what I hoped could survive the fall of my people." Jaren looked around in awe, seeing artifacts, glowing crystals, and intricate machines humming softly. He felt a strange sense of wonder, as if he were touching history itself. And yet it was alive, vibrant, and ready to teach. "You can learn from this," Kira said, her hands hovering over the devices. "I can share with you the knowledge of my civilization, the wisdom of survival, and the ways to protect what is precious." Jaren nodded, understanding that the offer was more than opportunity. It was a responsibility, a partnership that could shape the future of both humans and aliens. He realized that the world beyond this outpost, beyond Clyra 9, was vast and full of mysteries, dangers and possibilities, and that together they could face it, explore it, and perhaps change it. As they worked together, learning, testing, and discovering, a bond grew stronger. Unspoken yet undeniable trust, respect, and shared experience bound them together. Bridging the gap between species, worlds, and history, Jaren felt a sense of purpose he had never known, a feeling that every step, every choice had led him here to this partnership. This new beginning. Hours passed, and the light outside shifted to a soft golden hue, hinting at a sunrise that felt different from any on Earth. Jaren and Kira stood at the edge of the outpost, looking over the alien landscape, jagged mountains, and distant forests stretching toward the horizon. "The world is wide," Jaren said quietly, "and full of challenges." Kira nodded, her gaze steady, her hands brushing against his, sharing a faint pulse of energy that felt like reassurance. "Yes," she said, "but together we can face it, explore it, and perhaps make it better than it was before." A distant signal pulsed faintly through the air. Barely audible, Jaren turned, realizing that this was the first hint that their journey was far from over. Kira noticed it too, her eyes narrowing slightly, a mixture of curiosity and determination in her gaze. "They are out there," she said softly. "Others who may need help, others who may pose a threat. But we will face them when the time comes. For now, though, there was calm, and with it a chance to rebuild, learn, and grow." Jaren felt a strange warmth, a connection to Kira, to the outpost, and to the possibilities of the universe. He understood that humanity was more than survival, more than strength. It was trust, compassion, and courage in the face of the unknown. And in Kira, he had found a mirror of that humanity. Alien yet familiar, powerful yet vulnerable, capable of love, hope, and understanding. Together, they walked deeper into the outpost, discovering new chambers, testing devices, and uncovering secrets long buried. Every moment strengthened their bond. Every discovery reminded them of the value of trust and partnership. Jaren realized that their survival was only the beginning, that the true journey lay ahead, filled with mystery, adventure, and challenges. But he no longer felt fear, only anticipation, excitement, and the determination to face whatever came next. As the alien sun rose higher, painting the outpost in gold and crimson light, Jaren and Kira stood side by side, ready to face the future. The outpost, once a place of danger and exile, had become a sanctuary, a starting point for something greater. And in that moment, they understood that together, human and alien, they could not only survive, they could thrive, explore, and create a new path for themselves, a path that promised discovery, adventure, and the extraordinary possibility of trust, courage, and hope in a universe full of unknowns. And as the light bathed them in warmth, Jaren knew, without a doubt, that this was a true new beginning for both of them, and for the journey that awaited beyond the stars.